Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Srinivas Govinda Jayo Srinivas Govinda Jayo Srinivas Govinda Jayo Srinivas Govinda Jayo Prahlad Narasimha Jayo Prahlad Narasimha Jayo Prahlad Narasimha Jayo Prahlad Narasimha Jayo Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Shri Shri Nittai Gauranga ki Shri Srinivas Govinda ki Shri Prahlad Narasimhadev ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Nittai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Hare Krishna. So today we'll be discussing from the 13th chapter, text 22. So give me just 1 second. I'll pull up the verse here. All right. So this chapter is the title is Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. So please repeat the verse after me. Purusha prakritisto hi. Purusha prakritisto hi. Bhungte prakritijan gunan. Bhungte prakritijan gunan. Karanam guna sangasya. Karanam guna sangasya. Sadasat yoni janmasu. Sadasat yoni janmasu. Purusha prakritisto hi. Bhungte prakritijan gunan. Karanam guna sangasya. Sadasat yoni janmasu. So we'll do the word-to-word meanings, translation and purport. The word-to-word meanings, you can all repeat after me. Purushaha, the living entity. Prakritistaha, being situated in the material energy. He, certainly. Bhungte, enjoys. Prakritijan, produced by the material nature. Gunan, modes of nature. Karanam, cause. Gunasangaha, association with the modes of nature. Asya, of the living entity. Sat asat, good and bad. Yoni, species of life. Janmasu, birth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. So please repeat the translation. The living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Purport. This verse is very important for an understanding of how the living entities transmigrate from one body to another. It is explained in the second chapter that the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes dress. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another. Due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances. Under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometimes as a demigod, sometimes as a man, sometimes as a beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as a saintly man, as a bug. This is going on. And in all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances. Yet he is under the influence of material nature. How he is put into such different bodies is explained here. It is due to association with the different modes of nature. One has to rise, therefore, above the three material modes and become situated in the transcendental position. That is called Krishna consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since time immemorial. But he has to change that conception. That change can be effected only by hearing from authoritative sources. The best example is here. Arjuna is hearing the signs of God from Krishna. The living entity, if he submits to this hearing process, will lose his long cherished desire to dominate material nature, and gradually and proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he comes to enjoy spiritual happiness. In the Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately relishes his eternal blissful life. Thus ends the purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining, discussing some important verses from Bhagavad Gita. So this is one of a very important verse, and actually if you analyze, all the verses are very important in Bhagavad Gita, but this is very often quoted also. Prabhupada, you might have heard in many places, many lectures, he will keep mentioning this phrase, Karanam Guna Sangasya Satasat Yoni Janmasu. Karanam means cause, the root cause, right? So here what is Krishna saying in the Bhagavad Gita? He is explaining one of the root cause. Root cause is very important, isn't it? People in software field, they will know. When there is an issue, some production issue, sometimes live customer will have an issue, and the whole team will have to solve the problem. Everyone will stop what they're doing, any meeting or anything. Suddenly it will raise, alerts, and everyone has to jump on it, resolve the issue. They will work very hard and resolve it finally. Now, when they think it's all done, an email from manager will come. Can somebody please send me RCA? It's called root cause analysis. And because that is very important to make sure, why do we need root cause? To make sure, this problem doesn't happen again, right? So root cause is very important. So here Krishna, actually whole Bhagavad Gita is all about different root causes of various things. That is why this Bhagavad Gita is a science of root cause of our existence. And this chapter is in particular, Krishna is talking about the material nature and the living being. The root cause of our existence in this material world. What is going on here, right? So here Krishna is saying, the living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. So this is the cause. Why is a living entity in enjoying the three modes of nature? Why are we in this material world in the first place? It is said because of association with modes of nature. Karanam Guna Sangha Asya. Karanam means cause, root cause, right? What is the exact meaning Prabhupada says here? Karanam means cause. So Karanam, what is the cause? What is the cause of our existence? Guna Sangha. Guna means modes of nature. How many modes of nature are there? 3. What are the 3 modes of nature? Ignorance, Rajoguna. So there is English and there is Sanskrit. So Rajoguna, what is Rajoguna translate to? Passion, mode of passion. What are the other 2 gunas? I heard ignorance. So what is ignorance in Sanskrit? Tamoguna, yes. So mode of ignorance. And there is one more guna. Sattuguna, Sattvic, mode of goodness. So these 3 modes are there. And because of association with these 3 modes, one is taking Sadasad Yoni Janmasu. See, very profound statement Krishna is saying. Because of this association of gunas, Sad Asad means different kinds of, good and bad, right? Sad and Asad is like the good and bad. Now, because of association of modes of nature, what is happening, good and bad? What? Yoni Janmasu, species of life. We are transmigrating from one species of life to another species of life. And actually, previous verse, this is a kind of a, the continuation of the previous verse. So it is good to read the previous verse quickly. I mean, if possible, you can scroll down and click the previous verse link. So here, Prabhupada also in the purport, very nicely, very deep statements. Yeah, just scroll down. Okay. Yeah, that's fine if you're not able to get it. So text 21, Did we get it? Or we're trying to find it? Okay. Yeah, there we are. Yeah. So text 21. Here is where Krishna is giving some more pretext about this particular verse. So he's saying, Karya Karana Kartavye Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktritve Hetu Uchyate. So I'll read the translation. If you scroll down. So here Krishna is saying, nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects. So there is mention of nature, right? And it is the cause of all material activities and effects. Whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So very technical but very scientific also. So the all the material activities and effects, everything that are happening, right? We experience various things. It is all material nature. Right? This body, the senses, the objects, everything is material nature, the cause and effects. When we manipulate, we use our own body, we use different objects, we manipulate, there are some results that will come. These are all material nature. But while this is happening, what is happening to the living entity? The living being is either suffering or enjoying. So while we are doing these various activities, we are either suffering or enjoying. Now how does this work? Prabhupada very nicely mentions in the purport, so it's worth reading that. So the different manifestations of body and senses among the living entities are due to material nature, right? This body that we have, this this world we are existing in, it's all 5 elements, material elements. What are the 5 elements, material elements? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, right? These are the material elements. And if you analyze, everything comes into that category. And there are the subtle elements also, mind, intelligence, and ego. But the gross material elements, we are surrounded by it. Our body, if you analyze, it is a combination of earth, water, fire, air, ether, isn't it? So Ayurveda, it is classified, in the stomach, it is the heat that is digesting the food, right? Even scientifically, our body is 70% water? Is it 70 or 80%, right? Mostly water. And then there's bones. It's all material nature. We are just, then are we just lump of matter, right? There was somebody once, a Facebook post, they said, once a person dies, they analyze the body. You take out all the chemicals, it is worth like 130 rupees or something. All the chemicals. What's bone is some calcium. Easily you get calcium, right? We put wall paint and all. So everything you take the chemical composition, it is worth very few 100 rupees. That's about it. So, but then once the living being, the soul, the Atma leaves the body has no value at all, right? So it is the soul that is the most valuable. So now we are in a combination. This person, when we see anything living, it is a combination of the spiritual spark, the Atma, the soul, and the body around it. Now, how did they come together? Right? It is like oil and water. Right? You put them together, they don't actually completely blend, but they're still separately. And you can use some process, you can actually extract out the oil or extract out the water. Right? They're completely separate. They don't amalgamate, but they're there together. So like that, the spiritual nature and material nature are actually, they don't blend together. It is like a covering. The spiritual soul has a covering of this external material body. And death, what is death? Death is nothing but the soul leaving the body. Now, how did the soul and the body come together in the first place? So that is where here Krishna is saying, and Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, that these different manifestations of body and senses among the living entities are due to material nature. So this body is because of material nature. And then there are 8,400,000 different species of life. And these are varieties, and these varieties are the creation of material nature. So what is happening in the material nature? All these 5 elements together, there is a framework for 8,400,000 species. Now, why did these species come into picture? Why is this material nature there? Why are these species there? Now, Prabhupada is answering that. They arise from the different sensual pleasures of the living entity, who thus desires to live in this body or that. So this is how these many species are there. Why? To fulfill the different sensual pleasures of the living entity. So the living being has different kinds of desires. And they want to fulfill that desire, Krishna has created this 8,400,000 species. And it is literally a combination, it's a permutation combination. Like there are 3 gunas, right? The goodness, passion, and ignorance. So Prabhupada says it's just like the 3 primary colors. What are the 3 primary colors? RGB, right? I think nowadays people might not know, but when we were young, the television set that would be, if you go close, you can see those 3 colors, right? And the colors are now adjusted. You can see those 3 bars continuously, all the close to the TV. So just like that, just by 3 colors, if you vary the color combination, you can get millions of colors. It is 3 gunas. When there is a varying combination, then you get this many species of life. And why are these species existing? Actually, Krishna created these species to fulfill our desire to live a particular kind of a life. Now we might think, well, why would I ever desire to live like a particular species, right? So an example we'll give, recently went to some beach, the ocean beach, San Francisco. And some devotees, not devotees, we were all there. We were all spending some time doing some kirtans. And we saw some people, they were surfing. The water was so cold, getting into water was so difficult, but some people were actually surfing in those waves. And what were they doing? They were, you know how surfing works, right? They have a surfboard and a wave comes and they want to ride the wave. It's like a fun activity. They have this fun. Now, so that desire comes. So what is Krishna doing? Krishna is in the heart and he's observing. Upadrushta Anumanta. Upadrushta means he is overseeing, and he's Anumanta also. He will permit also. He will sanction also. So now when that person is working all his life, struggling so hard, actually he was not able to surf the wave very long. You might have seen, right? It requires a lot of practice and test, continuous practice. So they keep trying, and after a while he was exhausted because we are not aquatics, right? All said and done, we are technically land animals. We have to come back. But he had so much desire. So, and then what Krishna will do for him in the next life? Why are you struggling so hard in the human body? Human body is not designed to do surfing, right? And you're struggling so hard and feeling cold. He has a special suit and all that. So be born like a dolphin. Dolphins now enjoy surfing. You see the waves and all, they're surfing like anything. You go National Geographic or you just search dolphins and waves. They have so nice time. They're just enjoying jumping, enjoying the waves and everything. So this is how, when a particular desire, when we explore this material world, we have a particular kind of a desire, then Krishna will fulfill that desire by putting you in a particular species. Some people, they're very fascinated by this flying, the birds and things like that. So they could be born as birds in the next life. Right? Prabhupada also says sometimes people, unfortunately, who are addicted to eating meat and things like that, why so much hard work? You have to work hard, earn money, go to grocery store, purchase it, cook it, boil it. This human body is actually, technically, it's a herbivore. It is not designed to eat meat. It can't. If you eat raw meat, you will be hospitalized the next day. Our body, our intestines, our digestive system is not designed to process meat. So that is why there is so much cooking and so much making it so that the body can handle it, right? So then Prabhupada used to say, why so much struggle? Be born as a tiger next life. Then you can directly attack. No need to stand in line in the grocery store, work hard to earn that money to pay the credit card bill, right? And no need to again look for oven or stove to cook it, boil it. Directly attack, kill, punch, and pounce on it and eat the animal directly, right? So like this, whatever desire, if one is cultivating in a particular way, Krishna will fulfill through this different kinds of species. Now let's read further. Prabhupada is saying some more things. Now when he's put into different bodies, he enjoys different kinds of happiness and distress. Now here is the catch. When you get into any particular body, there is not just enjoyment, but there is suffering also. Even if they're born as a dolphin, do you think dolphin is all safe? Sometimes it also gets attacked, right? All the aquatics, they say, right, small fish, big fish eats the small fish. So it's like that. So nowhere, there is some enjoyment, but everything comes with a pain also, with suffering also. Like in the material world, they say, right, no pain, no gain. You won't get any happiness here without equal proportion of distress. So this is what is happening. Because of our desires, we get into different species. But when you're in different species, now we are going through happiness and distress. And then further Prabhupada says, his material happiness and distress are due to his body and not to himself as he is. See, this is now an interesting thing. Now, if you analyze even our own self, our own life, the different difficulties we are facing is because of this body, isn't it? Because we are in this body, if you don't eat breakfast, you will start feeling hunger. You will feel the hunger pangs. And if you still somehow tolerate it, your body will become weak. So you have to feed the body. Now, if your body was not causing this, if your body was somehow designed such a way that it will never feel hunger and it has unlimited energy, you don't have to bother about right, food. So in the same way, everything, right? Nowadays it's winter, cold, everyone, we are all wearing jackets. Why? Because the body can't tolerate this temperature. So we have to do adjustments. So if our life, if we analyze, it is a constant struggle to stop the miseries being caused by this body. All the miseries are because of this body, right? There is this pandemic going on. What is it happening? It's affecting the body. Some spike protein, something it is doing. It is growing some virus. And if our body was designed such a way that it doesn't have to deal with, if it doesn't get affected, we don't have to worry, isn't it? So this is the problem. This material body is the real problem. If you analyze every problem that you have, it will boil down to this material body. But Prabhupada is saying something very interesting. But actually, it is not in his original state, right? And not to himself as he is. That means, if you take out the body aspect, if you just look at the soul will actually never cause misery. It is the body that is causing misery. And in our real state, that means soul and in a spiritual existence, what is happening in real state, there is no doubt of enjoyment. And therefore, that is his real state. Because of the desire to lord it over material nature, he is in the material world. Now here comes the real key. Why are we in this material world? Why this material body? Why are we dealing with all these sufferings and species and all these things? This is the root cause. Is the desire to lord it over material nature. This is the desire. The desire to independently enjoy this material nature. The desire to take the role of enjoyer. I am the Lord. Right? And because of this desire to lord it over material nature, he is in the material world. In the spiritual world, there is no such thing. So in spiritual world, there is no desire to be the enjoyer. But in the material world, everyone is struggling hard to acquire victims who present different pleasures to the body. Now, this is the main difference between the spiritual world and the material world. Material world, we are trying to be the enjoyer. What does trying to be the enjoyer means? Trying to be the center of attraction, trying to be the master, trying to be the Lord, trying to satisfy oneself by satisfying his own senses and mind and intelligence and ego. The center, everything is centered around us. Our life is centered around our own self. It's a selfish life, unfortunately. Right? But in the spiritual world, that is not the situation. Spiritual world, one is not deriving happiness by trying to be the enjoyer. One will actually derive happiness there by being the enjoyed. So this is a new concept, completely different concept. So there is the enjoyer, who is the Lord, who is the master, who is the real proprietor. And then there is the enjoyed. How can we be enjoyed? Right? How is their happiness enjoyed? See, our constitutional position is very tiny, very infinitesimal. Right? In the Vedic scripture it said, Anu and Vibhu. We are, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is Vibhu, he is unlimited. And we are Anu. Anu means atomic, very small, infinitesimal. So our real position, when there is a subordinate and when there is a superior, what is the natural position? We join a company, we get some employment, something, and there's a CEO who is the, this superior and we are the subordinate. What is our natural position there? We have to serve him, right? That is when we'll get our paycheck. If you say, no, I don't want to follow any of his instructions, I want to do whatever I want. They will say, you don't belong here, please leave, right? So, in a grand scheme of things, that is actually literally our exact situation. Krishna is the supreme CEO. And we are his like employees. Or in other sense, that is a very official, formal relationship. But a very intimate relationship is he's like the supreme father. And we are his tiny children. We are unlimited. But we are infinitesimal, very, very small. So when there is the supreme father and when there is the children, when there is the supreme superior and when there is subordinate, the natural relationship, the healthy relationship is for the subordinate to serve the supreme. So that is the difference in the spiritual world. Everyone is trying to serve. And when you are serving, what are you doing? You are allowing yourself to be enjoyed by the Lord. And they are deriving unlimited bliss. Ramante yoginam anante. But sometimes when there is a desire, why can't I be the center of attraction? Why I have to be enjoyed? Why can't I be the enjoyer? Sometimes the desire comes. Krishna hana jiva bhogavancha kare, nikatastha maya tare, japatiya tare. In the Prema Vivarta by the Acharyas, it is mentioned that when the desire comes to the living entity that I want to be the center of attraction, I want, you see the Krishna Leela, you see little Krishna, or the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Krishna is the center, right? Everyone is serving him, and Krishna is always protecting, and everyone is always trying to please Krishna, and they're deriving unlimited bliss by pleasing Krishna. See, real love is happiness derived when you please your lover, not when your senses are satisfied. Right? That we have to understand. Even here in this material world, the ultimate happiness in real love is obtained when the lover is served. Not that, when I love somebody, now let him come and serve me, that is when I'm happy. That is not real happiness. Like a very classic example in this world is a mother serving the child. The mother will sometimes compromise her sleep, her rest, even her food, and give the food to the child out of love. Even though the mother's body technically is hungry or tired or something, when the child is satisfied, the mother is very happy. Isn't it? And somebody asks, are you not disappointed that the child ate away and you didn't even get? No, he got to eat, I am very happy. Why? There is so much love and affection for the child, right? So that is the real relationship, that is the real love, that is where real happiness is, when we actually serve someone whom we love. But unfortunately in the material world, the concept of service is gone, completely gone, and everyone wants to be master. And everyone wants to be served. People are excited if they get the manager role. I have 4 people, I have 5 people working under me, I have this many people, right? So what Prabhupada is saying here, very nice statement Prabhupada says, in the material world, everyone is struggling hard to acquire victims who present different pleasures to the body. See what Prabhupada is saying, acquire victims. Now whoever is you find to serve you, they are all victims. Why? Because they are also in the material world, they also wanted to become manager or boss, or they want to be center of attention. They think, yaar, my bad karma, he became my boss. Sometimes they will say, we both joined same here, now see I am reporting to him. All this happens. Now, everyone who is serving other person is nothing but a victim. Why? Because he also given a chance. Sometimes manager one-on-one, they will ask, oh, what is it that you want to do? So one colleague was saying, I actually want your position. But that is not possible. They said, no, I am doing good, everything good. See, everyone is competing. Everyone wants to be the master. Everyone wants to be the enjoyer. Everyone wants everybody else under him. So this is a diseased condition. Because neither the other person or us or anybody in this material world other than Krishna deserves to be in the position of a master or the Lord. So this disease, because of this, to fulfill this desire of independent enjoyment, not being a servitor but being a master, Krishna will put us in this material world. Okay, here you go. Everyone here have the same mentality. Everyone wants to become master, because that is not our constitutional position. We can never be master. It is impossible. Has everyone succeeded to become master here? Has everyone derived unlimited pleasure? Even the most richest people in this world, they have everything, still they are unhappy. They didn't get that happiness. They are going through divorce. Right? They are going through so many other problems. Sometimes antidepressants they take. They never get the happiness. Because when it is not our constitutional position, if you artificially try to do that, you will not get happiness. The classic example given is like the fish taken out of water. Whatever you do to the fish will never be happy. Its constitutional position is to be in the water. Now you take it out, you say, I'll put you in a very soft cushion, I will play very nice music for you, I will give nice food to eat, I will give jewelry and all these things. The fish will only be suffocating. That is our situation. Why? The constitutional position of the fish is to be in the water. So our constitutional position is to serve Krishna. And when we are not in the constitutional position, whatever you do, we will only be suffering. We will only be disappointed. So that is where Prabhupada is saying, so the solution is to take up this Krishna consciousness. And yeah. So that's the, the main, one of the root cause. Why are we even existing in this material world? And then what happens here, the disease only intensifies. When we come to the material world, what is happening? Our constitutional position is to serve Krishna, be subordinate, be obedient, and derive happiness in a loving relationship by serving him. But here somehow there was a desire that I want to become the independent enjoyer, and we come to the material world and we see everybody is trying to do the same thing. So we get even more conditioned that this is what I need to do. Right? And we start getting associated with different gunas. Because everyone is in this guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna and Sattoguna. Everyone is trying to be the enjoyer, independent Lord in his own way. The person in Rajoguna is thinking, I will become happy by, earning a lot of money, lot of name, fame, lot of followers, and satisfying the senses, this body. But unfortunately, they don't derive happiness. You see any materially accomplished person towards the end of his life, this Alexander was a great example. He ruled almost 3/4 of this earth. And then finally, when he was diagnosed with the disease, he wanted to live longer. And he called for the best doctors all over the world. He was ruling 3/4 of the world, you can imagine. And nobody could heal his disease. So he was so disappointed. He was so well accomplished. He has everything. Because ultimately, even though you become the most rich, famous, and strongest or wealthiest and everything, one fine day, Mrityu sarvam harascha aham, Krishna says, I will come as death and I'll take away everything. So that will cause a very big disappointment. Right? You might think if I become very well accomplished, I'll be happy. No, even the most richest people are unhappy. Can anybody say that, no, definitely on the deathbed, this person will be very happy? How? It is so disappointing, so disturbing. People leaving, losing everything, right? So that is what the problem in this material world is. Even though you accomplish so much, ultimately there is only disappointment. But that is not marketed or broadcasted anywhere. On the Time magazine or different, they will show all well-accomplished people wearing nice suit and dress in their best position. The cover page will change again to the next person. Now, all past 50 years, what all they publish now, so many people are in hospitals, in old age homes and assisted living, and they're going through their deathbeds and suffering. Everyone will suffer a lot and they will die, but nobody talks about it. Right? It is all completely. That is why we are in illusion. We are always constantly bombarded with something that is looking rosy, but behind the scenes, we don't know. Like this, movie actors or actresses or models, only in the young age they are shown in their pictures. Now they become old and all, nobody wants to look at them, nobody wants to talk about them. So it's an illusion that, I also can be always young, youthful like this and be happy, but unfortunately, that is not true. So then what is the solution? The problem is that because we are constantly being bombarded among ourselves with an illusory picture of happiness, of somebody who's rich is happy, somebody who's beautiful is happy. We think that they're all happy, but we don't think little deeply. Are they going to be happy throughout their life? Soon they will become old. Soon they will not be able to use any of your abilities, and it is natural, right? They will become old and they will die. But that picture is not portrayed to us. So we are in complete illusion, and because of this, what is happening? We are also unknowingly running towards that. We are also trying to think, he's very rich, he's happy. So let me also become rich, I'll be happy. He's something else, I'll be happy, right? So, but that, because of this guna will go on, and what we will do, we will end up doing so many things, trying to fulfill our desires. Knowingly, unknowingly, we'll commit a lot of sinful activities also. We will end up cheating, we'll end up lying, we'll end up compromising, we'll end up being dishonest, and we'll exploit this material nature without paying any bill. If you use electricity, PG&E, if you don't pay the bill, they will cut off your supply, right? But we are using up all the resources for our life. We are using the sunlight, moonlight, all the natural resources. We are saying, I am working hard, I am earning money, and with that money I am spending. Now you are working hard, earning money, where is that coming from? You are using this body, your intelligence. Now, did you design your body and intelligence? That was given by Krishna, right? So we owe it to him, isn't it? So we owe to the Supreme Lord who has given us all these abilities, but in the regular world, nobody even cares how they got all this. Somehow I got, I'll just use it up. Yeah? Let's say it's like a thief. He enters somebody's house. Somehow everything is available. Let me just use it all up. It is there. Nobody is catching me. But once he is caught, he'll be put in prison. So unfortunately, in the material world, everyone who is not acknowledging God and all the facilities being provided by the God, and just left and right using them, thinking, this is all mine, I am doing it, I am working hard. Where did you get all these ingredients in the first place? God has given. So we are not paying any bills, any dues. There are just like there is PG&E, electricity department, water department. There are so many devatas, who are in charge of various departments. The Surya Devata is in charge of the sun, the sunlight. The Varuna is in charge of the water. We are not paying any bills. So what is happening? We are accumulating bad karma. We are all becoming criminals when we are not acknowledging. And that is why in the next life, there will be suffering for that, because you have not paid your dues. And this material world now becomes a loop, a cyclic loop. We are in ignorance, we are committing sinful activities, we are getting more implicated, and to suffer, we are born again, and then there are some desires. To fulfill those desires and suffering, it keeps on going on. It becomes a cycle of, that is why it's called samsara. It is a cycle of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. Now, how do we come out? And that's what Prabhupada is saying here, and that is what this whole Bhagavad Gita is all about, is coming out of this loop of this problem. So the problem statement can be used as a solution statement also, because the cause is the same. Karanam gunasanga asya. If you associate with material nature, you will take material birth. But then, the same association, if you associate with transcendental nature, beyond these three gunas, there is a transcendental, there is something called Shuddha Sattva, there is a spiritual guna. Earlier in the 3rd chapter, Krishna tells to Arjuna, Traigunya Vishya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Right? This Vishya Veda, these Vedas are all about these three gunas. Everything in the world around us is about these three gunas, but you can transcend them. Traigunya Vishya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. That means a transcendental platform. If you can associate with spiritual life, with spirituality, with Krishna and his devotees, you can actually be freed from these material gunas. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also earlier, other place he says, if you become my devotee, right? Sagunan samatitayatan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. It says, Mam cha mavyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. If you perform bhakti yoga to me, Sagunan samatitayatan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. These gunas, this influence that you have, samatitayatan, you will be able to overcome the influence of these gunas. And brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Brahman means the spiritual platform. That means we can come back to our original spiritual position. Our material position is the influence of the gunas. We are thinking, I will be the enjoyer, I will enjoy, I will be happy like this. But the spiritual nature is Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Spiritual nature is, I am the servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. I am his servant. I am his child. My duty is to serve him. My duty is to not exploit his creation for my enjoyment. But my duty is to use his creation for his enjoyment. And then naturally I will be happy. Right? And how is that? And that process is nothing but Krishna consciousness. Why? Krishna is saying, Mamcha avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. You perform pure devotional service to me. And that is what pure devotional service is, nothing but Krishna consciousness. So here Prabhupada is giving the solution is that if you perform Krishna consciousness, right? The three material, one has to rise therefore above the three material modes and become situated in transcendental position. And how to do that? That is called Krishna consciousness. So unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since time immemorial. The solution is to take up Krishna consciousness, associate with transcendental nature. Now what is this associating with transcendental nature mean? So there is a nice mention in Srimad Bhagavatam about Narada Muni. So we all know Narada Muni, isn't it? And unless we read Prabhupada's teachings, unfortunately we have a bad understanding of Narada Muni in our whatever Indian, they depict these stories from Vedas and Puranas as if he is just going and creating trouble and creating fight. But that is not his situation. He is a transcendental personality. Narada Muni is not having a material body like us. He doesn't have, like us, his lungs, kidneys, and he doesn't have to get X-ray and yearly checkup to figure out everything is good. He is in a spiritual body, not a material body, right? These 5 elements we thought about initially, right? There are no 5 elements. He is in a complete spiritual body. And he can travel all over the universe. He's talking to Lord Narayana in Vaikunta. He's talking to Lord Brahma. He's coming to earth. He's talking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He's traveling all over the world, Narada Muni. Now, how is this Narada Muni? He's in a spiritual personality, he's a spiritual body. This is how in the spiritual world they will be. It is actually complete freedom. We think that by, we wanted a freedom, but actually by serving Krishna, by becoming dependent, we become independent. So this is the very key. I'll give an example. If there's a very rich father, his big business he has, and he has 2 sons. One is very obedient and one is very disobedient. Now the disobedient says, I want to be independent from you. I want to do whatever I want. And he walks out of the house. Obviously, he has no money, nothing. He has so-called independence, but can he accomplish anything? Now, the obedient son of the richest person of the world, he is obedient. He is being dependent on him, but what does he get? He has access to everything of his father. He can travel anywhere in the world. He can do anything. He can spend any amount anywhere. Why? Because of his obedience. So, the dependence is actually giving him the real independence, right? The obedient son, because he is dependent on his richest father, he is actually independently able to act. But the so-called, disobedient who wanted to be independent from the Lord, what is he able to accomplish? Nothing. So this is what is this position of a pure devotee. He's completely dependent on the Lord, and then what happens? Everything, all the power of the Lord is with him. So that's why Narada Muni, he has almost all the potencies of the Lord. Why he's so dependent on him? Because of Lord's mercy, he's able to accomplish anything, right? Just like this dependent son, he has his father's credit card. He might not even have a bank account of his own. It could be just an add-on card. but he has access to the complete wealth of his father. Why? Because he is obedient and dependent. So in the same way, this Narada Muni is a transcendental personality completely in spiritual body. Now, but how did he actually have that? It's very interesting. He was not that way all along. It was in Bhagavatam, it is mentioned in his earlier life, he was a son of a maid servant. See how a son of a maid servant in the next life, he became completely spiritual, transcendental personality. How did that happen? So there it is mentioned that when he was born as a son of a maid servant, see this maid servant, she was working at some a Brahmana school, right? In earlier days, the Brahmana, some teacher will be there and he will be teaching, and they need some assistants to help in some cleanup and things like that, right? People who are skilled in a particular way, the Brahmanas, they learn some things, they teach. The Kshatriyas, they learn the military science and they protect, the civilization, they take taxes. The Kshatriyas, they do trading and, taking care of cows and milk and all that they do. But the Shudras are the ones who don't have individual ability to perform any of the skills. So what do? They work under any of these three classes. They will either assist a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya, right? So here this lady, the maid servant, she was working in a Brahmana school, and the father was also not there. So his Narada Muni was actually previous life, he was the son of the maid servant. So and what happens, once a few saintly people, they were traveling, and because it was a Brahmana's location, so it is mentioned during Chaturmasya, the saintly people won't travel because it's rainy season, it is very disruptive, and there is a lot of difficulty, and it's just disruptive because saintly people, they want to just practice Krishna consciousness. They don't want to, the reason they are taking up to this forest life is to be away from city life and all the distractions, right? So Chaturmasya time, these 4 months, what they do, the saintly people, they just stay in one place. 4 months they will stay there and they will continue performing their spiritual activities. So like this, in this Narada Muni, where he was the child of a maid servant, they came and the saintly people were serving there, and his mother was also doing some service to them, whatever they were doing. And this Narada Muni was very inquisitive. He was luckily he was not very naughty and like a childish and all. He thought he also helped his mother in serving them, and he would observe them. And one day he asked them, they would eat something, some prasadam they will offer and everything. He asked, is it okay if I eat whatever left out food? They eat something and some food was left out. Is it okay to eat the remnants of your food? He asks those saintly people. They said, yes, yeah, you can take. It is offered, it's prasadam. Now, the saintly people, first of all, they eat only prasadam, and then remnants of the saintly people, sometimes it's known as Mahaprasadam, because the mercy of the devotee is also there. The devotee is also touched. So when Narada Muni ate this Mahaprasadam, the food left by the saintly people, it was said immediately there was a very great effect on his consciousness. Suddenly his mind and heart and intelligence became so cleansed, and he had developed attraction for spirituality. Right? He was seeing they were doing something. Suddenly he has now attraction to do similar to what they're doing. And they were gathering, and what would the saintly people do? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drudavrataha, Krishna says. They're always glorifying the Supreme Lord. They're talking about his transcendental pastimes. So they were talking about the glories of Krishna. They're talking about various pastimes of the Lord from Bhagavatam. Narada Muni became this boy, maid servant son, he became very interested. And then he was listening to them, and he asked them, can I participate? Can I be with you? And can I listen? The saintly people were like, yes, yeah, you can participate. And then because he ate the prasadam, Mahaprasadam, his consciousness got so cleansed, he got attraction for these topics of spiritual nature, and he was actually spending time and listening to them. And then 4 months were over, they were about to leave, and he was like, he wanted to get some instructions from them. And the saintly people will actually instruct him in devotional service, very simple, right? To chant the holy name of the Lord. They will describe about the Lord and his features, and they will even tell him you can meditate on the Lord. So he gets this instruction, and then he was enthusiastic to practice this. But then as time was going on, his mother was taking care of him, and he the only child mother were together, so there is a strong attachment. So he couldn't really pursue much of spirituality. But then for whatever reason, once unfortunately his mother gets bitten by a snake when she goes to gather some milk, and the mother dies. But Narada Muni, this boy, was already enlightened by the teachings he has heard from the saintly people. So he was not disappointed when his mother died. He was like, okay, maybe this is Lord's arrangement. This is now an opportunity for me. Without any attachments and distractions, I can focus on spirituality. And then he remembers the saintly people's instruction, and he starts walking away from the place, right, where they were living. And it is said he would travel. He walked across villages and so many towns, and he was finally tired and he was in some forest. So and then he was exhausted, so there was a lake. He drank some water, and then he just tried to get refreshed. So it was said he sat under a tree, and then he started meditating on the Lord. The saintly people had instructed him about the Lord and his features. So he closed his eyes and he started meditating on that Supreme Lord. Oh, the Lord features are like this. Right? It is mentioned about the Lord. He has curly hair, he has broad chest, he has the Kaustubha jewel, he is wearing yellow garments, he has beautiful earrings, his eyes are like lotus. Very beautiful description of the Lord are there. So he started meditating, and then what happened? Suddenly he started experiencing the form of the Lord in his heart. When he closed his eyes, he was meditating, he could actually see the Supreme Lord. And he was in extreme bliss and happiness. He was so mesmerized by looking at the form of the Lord. Right? Initially, he was trying to contemplate what it was. Suddenly, he could actually see the Supreme Lord in his heart. And he was with complete, full bliss and happiness and joy. But then, within few seconds, it disappeared. Then he was like very morose. Oh, what happened? I just got the darshan of the Lord. Now I am not seeing anymore. And again he sits and again he tries closing his eyes, meditating and all. Now it was not happening anymore. He was becoming disappointed. Then he would hear the voice of the Lord. The Lord was invisible. He says, I'm sorry to say, but you won't be able to see me anymore in this life. I just gave you a glimpse to give you enthusiasm, to enthuse you to continue the devotional service you're doing. So he says, he gives him instruction. Krishna, just voice he could hear. You go on chanting my holy name and live your life like this, always dedicated to serving me. And then next life, you will actually attain a spiritual body. So and then it says, Narada Muni mentions in Bhagavatam. So this way, after this, though he was disappointed, at the same time he was happy that he got to see the Lord and he got to get a direct instruction from the Lord. And he went on chanting the holy name of the Lord throughout his life. And says, as time goes, he became old, and one fine day, he left the body. And then, as a flash, like a lightning flash, the next moment he realized he was in a spiritual body. He was no more in the material body. And in the spiritual body, he got an opportunity to be born appear as son of Brahma and in this universe. From then he is traveling all over the universe and is preaching the glories of the Lord. So what we see here is that by associating with the pure devotees, by eating prasadam, by chanting the holy name, the consciousness, the guna, the association of material nature can be completely changed. And we can come to the complete transcendental spiritual existence and get a spiritual body. So this is the key, this is the solution. We know the root cause of the problem, now we have identified the solution also. The solution is to associate with Krishna and Krishna consciousness and saintly people and take up the process of devotional service by which one can actually get a spiritual body. We don't have to worry about this material body anymore. No more material body with all kinds of the biological department, Stanford Medical University, they're researching on every part of the body to solve different problems. We don't have to worry at all because we won't have a material body. We'll have a spiritual body and we will exist in the spiritual world, and there is no more competing with the Supreme Lord, trying to become an independent enjoyer, but actually there is a pure desire to serve the Lord and enjoy by being dependent on the Lord, but rather than being independent from the Lord. Right? So I'll stop here. What we'll do is, I think it's about time, but we'll all chant the Hare Krishna mantra. I request the devotees to give the beads. So we'll do a practical experience of the chanting also. And this way, if we continue this process, just like Narada Muni was able to ultimately attain success, so all of us also can attain this ultimate success. So while the beads are being distributed, please repeat after me the Guru Pranam mantra and Panchatattva mantra. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda So we can all chant the Hare Krishna mantra together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, please hand out the beads to the volunteers collecting. And as you can see, this is the most simplest and easiest process. This is what exactly Narada Muni did. So please continue this process and advance in spiritual life. Hare Krishna. So I request all of you to please stand up for attending Arati. Today's